Welcome. Thank you guys for being here. I used to introduce all of our panelists, and I realized that they could probably introduce themselves a little bit better. So we'll start with Amy, and then if you want to pass the mic down and introduce yourselves.
Okay, thank you. And thank you, ANN, for having me, us. It's such an honor to be part of your first Power Hour in Clarendon Hills. My name is Amy Duong Kim. I'm with Compass. We have a team of 5, and we have been in business. Well, my brother, who's back here with my husband Howard over there, started way longer than I have. I don't know how many years he's been doing it, but I've been doing it for 19 years. We predominantly do the Still City and the West Suburbs, so we're exactly 50-50. And yeah, 19 years, $700 million in transactions later, part of Real Trends, Cranes List, top producer consistently for Chicago Association of Realtors. I'm just going off of what was said on the sheet that I'm supposed to like say accolades and stuff.
Don't be
humble. But yeah, I love what we do, and I'm just happy to be able to continue to service our clients.
Hi, everyone. I am Lauren Walz. I am on Dawn McKenna's group, and I am filling in for her. So I'm here on behalf of the Dawn McKenna Group. Hope to provide some great insight to you guys, sometimes a little bit more than Dawn will provide. So ask all the questions today. I've been selling real estate for 8 years. I've been with the DMG for 7 years. I joined Dawn in her original expansion in 2017. We are now in, oh my gosh, I can't keep track, Park City, Lake counties like New Buffalo, Lake Geneva, the city of Chicago, the North Shore, the western suburbs, and Naples, Florida. But I am Dawn's partner just in the western suburbs. So Dawn and I sell all over the western suburbs and love every second of it. So I'll pass it on to Neena.
Thank you. I think you're Dean's client.
Yes. Oh, yes. Let me back up to that. So Dean was my lender before I was in real estate. I was like, wait, long before. Yeah. So my husband's a contractor. We flipped houses. We had investment properties. And I went way back to like 2012 with 2009 to 2012. And that was life before I was a realtor. Yeah, before I was married. Exactly. I bought a house in Western Springs at 23 before I was married. We'll talk about that later. Yeah.
It's nice to meet you.
Yeah.
I'm Neena Vlamis, and I'm the owner of A&N Mortgage. We've been in business since '02, and I really appreciate everybody coming out. So the reason that we chose these 2 wonderful people is because I left the city kicking and screaming. I hate saying that. I know it's not nice, but I was very hesitant on moving from Lincoln Park to the suburbs. But Amy is Dean's work wife, and they work really well together. Amy started by saying, just come and look at the houses. And all of a sudden, I'm looking at the houses, and then we wait about 6 months, and I set a very unrealistic home to buy, and Dean and Amy got the transaction done. The house was not on the market. They called Dawn McKenna's team, and together they worked to figure out how to get into this house that was not for sale. And that's how we're all here, right? And one thing that I really liked about Amy is she's like, just come and look at it. Come and open your brain. Come and see what's happening. The next thing I know, I'm buying this building from her. We didn't even have it in our business plan, but Amy's like, you could build a she shed here. So I think that's one tip that you really want to take away from today is expanding your horizons, right? I was naive to do that, and I'm glad that I did, because now we can share all of the wealth and information that A&N has to bring to the suburbs. So thank you all. Let's do a round of applause really quick for these amazing women. You can keep the mic. So I broke up today's panel by topics. I did this last month for anyone that was there. So the first topic is going to be questions about your careers. We'll start with you, Neena, but everyone's going to answer this first question. So what was your biggest mistake in growing your business? And are there any common growth strategies that you stopped doing or don't believe in? No, there's not. I think from every mistake that I've made, I've come out ahead, and I've learned from those mistakes, opened, listened, communicated, definitely talked about what mistakes I've made with the people that I've made them with to better those relationships and continue to move forward. So the mistakes that I've made, and there has been many, I've always grown stronger and faster from making those mistakes.
Okay, I would completely agree with that. One thing I wish that I would have done sooner, when I joined Dawn, if anyone's heard her speak, she always says, focus on what you're good at and delegate the rest. She openly says she doesn't own a computer. She has never done a contract. She has $3 billion in sales and has never written a contract. We should all write that down. I took that and listened to it and took far too long to take that advice personally until I was at the point where it was like, oh my gosh, I'm missing dinner every night with my kids, and I'm not a good wife, and I'm not a good mom, and I'm not a good realtor right now because I'm trying to do too much, and I can't grow and become better at all of these things without delegating. So I think it wasn't a mistake, it was a learning process. But as soon as I learned how to delegate, my business exploded and my life exploded behind it.
So if it takes less than 2 minutes, do it yourself. If it takes more than 2 minutes, delegate it out.
For me, I think this is when I was at my previous brokerage, and that managing broker was amazing and taught me a lot. And at that year, I grew exponentially, and I really focused on expanding further and casting this wide net. And I realized, then I was becoming unrelatable to my clients or feeling like I was maybe necessarily not available for them. So when I came back to kind of like sphere of influence, it really reconnected to my clients, and I felt like it was so much better to connect with 100 potential clients than like thousands. So, both can happen really, really well, but my success rate was far better when I went back to kind of the basics.
Love it. Thank you. This next one is going to be for Lauren and Neena. Yes, and this came from Eventbrite. I have a feeling it was because both of your teams have started really expanding outside of just the original network that you grew the business in. So Neena, now we're in Michigan, in New Buffalo, Michigan. We're in Arizona. You guys are big in Naples and all across the map. Yeah, so Naples is on the horizon for A&N Mortgage, just so you know. But this question was, how much does your existing network within your physical location play into your success building your business? And can you share some marketing strategies that helped you when breaking into new markets?
Okay, so I'm going to speak on behalf of myself first with my business, and then I can talk about the expansion of the Dawn McKenna Group and how the decisions were made and where they're going. Is that kind of what you're asking? So I was born and raised in the western suburbs. I have always been interested in real estate. My husband's a contractor. I've always had investment properties and had a foot in the door. So I think if you think about it as far as what you're passionate about and share that passion anywhere you're at, this is a lifestyle, not a job. We all know that. So if you're at a soccer game, you're still talking about it. If you see a beautiful house, even if it's not a buyer, if you have someone you know that thinks it's going to be a beautiful house, bring them in because they end up being a buyer. So it's like the more you share your passion, the more people are going to start to trust you. So I think that's a big thing with your growth. I do not sell in territories that I don't know. So we do have a big team, but we have local agents that are experts in each of the territories that they sell. So I don't sell in Naples, I don't sell in the North Shore, I don't sell in Lake Geneva because I can't be as good of a resource there. I would always refer that business out, and I think that's really important. I focus deep in the territory I sell, and I wanted to know everything and all the color there was to know about every house in my market. But if you expand too wide, I think you lose value in the sense that I can negotiate and I can find the data, but I'm not the expert. So that's one piece of advice. As far as how the Dawn McKenna Group grew to different territories, it was very organic with how to service our core clients. So to your point, focus on the clients that focus on you, and the loyal clients that we served, they were going to all of these areas already. So they were getting second homes. It was a natural expansion where it became second nature to start a group there. They were already buying houses. So when we expanded to Naples, we came with $50 million in listings. Like, it was already all of our clients there waiting for us to bring our service to them. So it was kind of a no-brainer. It was a matter of finding the right people, though, because I think the right salespeople that expect the same service you've provided in another network is key.
I would agree with that. I would totally agree with that. I hope when we get to Naples, we have that kind of volume right off the bat. That would be amazing.
Do you want me to repeat it?
Yep.
Okay. How does your existing network within your physical location play into your success in building your business? And then marketing strategies.
So our physical locations, for the last 22 years, this is the first year we've opened multiple offices. So we have an office in Fountain Hills, Arizona, and then this year we opened this, and then New Buffalo, Michigan. Seems like we're following you guys a lot here. Yeah, no. So Florida's better. So, so I think just following it's where your clients lead you, as she said, right? So organically, Skip Pitlock, he was a White Sox player in 1975, and he's been with us for many, many years, but his family was moving to Texas, so we got licensed in Texas. So when you find the network and expanding the network within those systems, it's the best. I find inspiration off of people, and then once I meet the people, that's how I end up growing. So Colleen and John, my middle son introduced me to John, and now we're working together, and they were the inspiration behind this office, along with Amy and Dean. So I think that when you network with the right people, you find inspiration by listening to them.
And I want to just add something. I think what we've done really good so far in the western suburbs is really getting to know the small businesses and the people that you've already been supporting for the last couple of years since you've lived here. So even like our baristas today, they're down the street. So I think supporting the people around you too really has seemed to work for us as well.
And then Bea Wolf came in and brought flowers, which was really nice. And we sat down and talked a little bit about what she was focusing on, and she's focusing on the community, the retirement community. And Maria has been with us for 13 years, and she's focusing on reverse mortgages. So now together, I just introduced them. They're going to do some videos together and collab on that. So I think finding the right people is how we've always grown.
Yeah, amazing. Next question's for you, Amy. And this has to do with landing VIP relationships. So who would you say are your biggest referral partners, and how did you land those relationships?
Sure. So it goes back to sphere of influence. You know, is this on? Oh no, I think it's just. Okay. So it goes back. Is it on or no? No. There you go. Okay, that's better. Okay, I had to just do it all the way up to the. Anyways, so it goes back to sphere of influence. Okay, this was not intentional. My husband and I are a lot of fun, and and I went to University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, where we hung out with a lot of very smart people, and then they became partners at law firms, starting their own companies, CEOs, COOs, CFOs, and staying connected with that sphere of influence was very, very important. So, you know, and obviously, you know, sometimes when you have a fun relationship, it's hard to transition to work relationship. But when I first started, and even now, and learning about other markets, like always knowing the market, what's out there, what's available, what would be a good fit. So I tend to I think my job is to be a matchmaker. So I look for real estate that I think that would be a good fit, and I think about who it would be a good fit for. So so that has been, it's like me generating my own business in that way, and that has been proven to be really successful. And staying connected with, all people in your life.
Yeah, you never know what deals are going to come from which relationships. That's very true. Yes. Yeah. Okay, we're going to move on to the next topic, which is questions from newer agents. I really like this question. I actually stole it from last Power Hour because I want to hear from you guys. If you were a brand new real estate agent with no active deals, what would you spend your time doing? And where is your biggest lead source coming from outside of referrals currently?
I think for new agents, it's very hard to ask for business. So you have to, when you talk about your career and your life, and the first question people ask you is, what do you do for a living? You say that you're a realtor, and you talk about the market and specifically say, do you need assistance? So I think it's a lot of times new realtors don't know how to do that. And you don't have to say you're new. You could just say that you've been doing this for less than 2 years. That is okay too. So, and open houses, if you have the opportunity to do open houses, I think that would be great. Joining professional networks. I get a lot of referral work through my professional network, so I think that's important to join. And find things that you would find enjoyment with. It was really important to me to be involved with ARIA. Asian Real Estate Association of America. I was involved for 7 years, and I get a lot of referral work from that. So whatever you're passionate about or whatever speaks to you is what you should be involved in, and just really involved, not just attend events. Yeah. And I have found that to be very helpful.
I totally agree. I do think that, is this off again? It's on. Oh, do I have to just talk? Okay, sorry. Can you repeat the question? Because my mind just went in a different direction.
If you're a brand new agent with 0 active deals, what would you spend your time doing?
Okay, so what I did when I was a brand new agent, I think I would do all over again. Be the expert. You have to be harder working. You have to be more prepared. You have to be there sooner. You have to go above and beyond to someone that has a reputation that precedes themselves. So if you're presented with a potential new client, you should be on time. You should know your data more than anyone else knows their data, because you have to prove yourself. More, established agents don't necessarily have to do as much work as someone that's new. So learn your market is number one. Know the data, and don't just know the data that's on the MLS. Know the color behind the deals. So go in all of these houses, talk to every agent you can. I tried to talk to every agent, and often I was like, that was terrible advice. I'll never do that. But the more you know what other people are doing, the more you can tweak your business to create the business that you want. So I can say learn as much as you possibly can with regards to the market you serve, but also other agents and what they're doing. So you can really kind of create your own brand. And it does wonders. As far as marketing, we actually just went through all of our deals for the year and tried to source them. We do this every year, where does this client come from? And it gets to a point, and I think this was wow, we're doing something right, where you don't know where they're all coming from, because they came from 5 different places. They saw an Instagram post, they were connected with a friend you went to high school with, they were also connected to one of our agents in the city because they sold their place in Lake Geneva, and it's all of a sudden you realize that your network is working when they're coming to you because they're tied to you in several different ways. But we try to be everywhere. Our marketing is pretty bold and pretty expansive. I think in this day and age, you do have to be everywhere. And the better people get to know you, the more likely they're going to trust you quickly. So Instagram is a beautiful place to have people get to know you for no cost.
Do you want me to repeat it for you? Or do you want me to move on to the next question? Okay. This next one is for all of you as well. How did you break into the luxury market? Did you experience any pivotal defining shifts, or was it more gradual?
For A&N Mortgage, it was more gradual. When we started in 2002, we did a lot of grants for first-time home buyers, and as I aged, the families started to grow. So the single guy was doing his fellowship, he became a brain surgeon, he's closed in Elmhurst, right? So those families have all started to expand and grow, and then as you age up, the people usually, if you're in the right network, are going to get pay raises and grow their own families larger. So that's how we got into that. And then we also do luxury homes, but also some commercial real estate as well. So I think our biggest residential loan amount was $5 million that we closed, and we underwrote that in-house.
I agree, it is gradual, and take every transaction and build on it, and as your clients build and grow with them. I do have to say, though, put yourselves in the space that gives you the opportunity to be in the luxury space. So I joined Dawn's team in 2017. A lot of people are intimidated by that. There's a lot of big clients with a lot of money that are wildly successful. And instead of being intimidated by those people, lean into that. If you have an opportunity to talk to a billionaire, or just listen to what they're saying. If you have the opportunity to be in the room where any of these people are, hear what they're saying, see what they're doing, and learn from it. Because they expect you to be one with them. They expect you to speak the same language. They expect you to know what they're talking about, understand what vacations they go on. And the more experiences you have with not only these people, but the lifestyles they're living, the more likely you morph into that.
I totally agree to this. I'm going to add to that. I am a legit nerd, and I love doing math problems. It's weird. So So, I actually have realized and found that most of my clients are very similar to me in that way, that we just are very naturally curious, and we are usually they're way more well read than I am. And sometimes I have to look up the words that they're saying later, and I just nod and pretend that I know what they're saying. But, I think that there's a realtor for everyone. Yes, I totally agree, the types of vacation, all of that's very, very true. But there is this very small pool of crazy nerds like me that, we just end up talking about just the most random things. And it's that connection that really plays a part. And that has been fun to experience. And I would say it's very gradual. We grew with our clients, and they were we all in our 20s and 30s were just working really hard. And now, in their 40s and 50s are really seeing the reward of their work, and we are able to service them in that way.
I feel like what I'm hearing from everybody, as someone who's only a handful of years into their career, is not everything happens overnight. It seems like all of you said it was gradual, and
Yes.
luxury living doesn't happen overnight. And breaking into the luxury market, there's no quick success, it seems like.
No.
Okay, good. I like that answer, because I think a lot of times people get discouraged when it's not happening right away for them. So, cool. Moving on to the next topic, which is business planning for 2025. We're going to start with you, Amy. So what are 3 things all realtors could implement to their business plan for next year to double their business?
So fourth quarter of every year is when we do our business planning. This is where all your touches need to be happening. And so really you can kick off every January with a fresh start. We go through and assess which listings we'll be having, which buyers we need to work on. It's really a lot of planning in fourth quarter of every year. So especially this year, I feel, because I don't know if Lauren feels it's a little slower in this fourth quarter than normal historically fourth quarters, just looking at the numbers. So, but yeah, so I really do feel like January will be very, very busy. It's already picking up again too, so after the election. But yeah, it's really all the business planning. You should really know what you're going to be marketing for the full year right now. So we're working on that. We're preparing all of those things. So when we're in the thick of it, we don't need to think about it. We don't need to think about new ideas. None of that should be happening for the rest of the year. It all should be happening right now. So, and we reassess like what worked, what didn't work, what we can improve upon. All of this mindset should be happening in every fourth quarter.
I agree. We are in the midst of business planning as well. I think as far as where this market is going, Amy, you touched on it for one quick second, but we've seen.
Later, so.
No, what I was going to say. Oh, am I pushing this? So there were a couple slow weeks, and slow I mean like where it was normal slow for this time of year. We've put 14 houses under contract in November, 11 of which were after the election. There is an insane amount of consumer confidence. We felt it. It is not a political conversation at all. This is 100% based on the conversations we're having with clients. And the day after the election, people wanted to spend money. So I'll just say I expect a booming spring. We're already feeling it. Again, 14 houses in 20 days is like our busy times. So I would expect that to continue. I think capitalize on it, share that information with people because maybe they're not as involved. But the more positive and hopeful you are relaying these messages to your clients, the more positive the market's going to be. So I'm yelling that from the mountaintops. People are very confident in this market. And I think if they're buying now, and all those are closing this year. So this is just a sense of where we're going. I think we're going to be wildly busy in the spring, which is great. Business planning, we're doing the same thing. We do a calendar, a marketing calendar. We reflect on what we've done in the past that's done really well and do more of that and eliminate some of the things that maybe weren't money well spent. We do a ton of events. It's really good for us. It's touch points. We see our clients, they're fun, they're really energetic events. We usually do it with like a designer or an artist or a builder. There's always a value add. We're always trying to give our clients before we expect anything in return. So events are a big thing that we do that are wildly successful, and we'll continue doing a lot of that.
Lauren, I had a follow-up question for you. I think you kind of answered it, but just to clarify, my question was, what marketing strategy has resulted in the most leads this year? Would you say events?
I would say our events, we do a lot of fun events where it's at a beautiful listing, but it's not selling the listing. It sells because of the event, but we do bring in, we've done an art of home where we talk about how art impacts the sale and brings a personality to the house. We always, like I said, try to bring some sort of value or nugget takeaway for all of our events, and they've done really, really, really well, and they see us in person. Everyone always says the best touch point is in person, so meeting with clients or other potential clients and seeing us in person is the best way for us to get more business. I would say our events probably yield the highest return on investment, so to speak. But Instagram, again, I can't say enough about like the ability for new agents to really get their expertise and professionalism and personality out there. Your people will find you if you put yourself out there.
Thank you. Neena, what is A&N doing to partner with Realtors for Success in 2025?
So we are having a lot of events, and you're at the first one, right? So I would say that. I want to take a moment to introduce Savannah, because we didn't do that in the beginning. And Savannah started with us as an intern, and she became a loan officer. When she took her test, she missed by one the first time, called me, and I was like, you can do this, you got to just get back in it. And she took the test and passed, and we sent her on some events and down on some, down to, was it Springfield or something, for a conference, and she called and she's like, I'm the youngest person here. I think she was 24 years old. And now she's recently been promoted to vice president, so it's a big deal, and we're very proud of you. And I'm going to flip this question to you, because you know the answer.
Yeah, I think events have really been similar to your team, just unexpectedly successful for us and for the people that we work with, and in more ways than you'd expect. So people in here that are maybe team leads looking to grow their team, we've had people join people's teams because of our events, and people are coming back because of the value that they're meeting just people in the crowd. So that's kind of why you're here, why I put in a lot of effort for you to have a good time today, despite the snow. But yeah, there's just a ton of things. We were talking about this earlier, that being a loan officer in this day and age is so much more than just, like Dean said, great rates, donuts, all of the things that everybody is doing. It's being on social media, it's putting yourself out there, and also partnering with our realtor partners to help them continue to grow. So that's kind of my main focus in the last couple of years because of Neena's inspiration. So thanks. Well, that was unexpected. That was fun. Thank you. Okay, final topic is going to be the market. So for everybody who wants to answer, we kind of talked about this, but sharing your predictions for spring market and then ways your team is preparing for success and staying ahead of the shifts.
So I think you can't sell rate, right? So don't focus on the rate. If you have clients that are focusing on the rates, they're waiting for a rate drop, you can't predict the rate. You can't control that. So focus on payment and try to do what? Get in the house as young as possible. Do you want to tell your story?
Sure. I bought my first place with my now husband in February of this year. We went under contract last December, and I had a lot of calls with Neena, and I was like, should I do this? Should I rent another year? Should I save more money? Because I bought at a 6.99. I bought when rates are high, right? And trying to understand and explain to my husband, why are we doing this so young? But seeing the value of investing in real estate long term. And yes, we're going to sacrifice money every single month with the higher interest rate, but for the benefit of owning a $600,000 asset down the road.
Right. And something that was really neat is she had a college 529 plan. And so instead of keeping that 529, you convert it, tell what you did, sorry. This is really impressive. This is very, very good strategy.
Yeah, so I went to school on a scholarship for gymnastics, which was it was a lot of work, but it was worth it, right? So I had a college savings plan that I never used, and Neena was like, maybe you can, use this for investing into your first place. So I liquidated that fund for the down payment to buy my place, and it made it a lot more comfortable for us rather than trying to come up with all the money up front, especially because we also just got married in September. So there was a lot that happened, but we definitely prioritized that as young as we are because of people like you that are advocating that we could do it and that it's important to do. Okay. Yep. Spring market, ways your team is preparing for success and staying ahead.
So I had touched on this. I think it's going to be extremely busy this spring. So we're preparing for that. I mean, in the same sense of business planning and making sure our team is structured and everyone knows what their job is, truthfully, because when it gets super busy, I think the structure in the organization is key to leveling up. But as far as what I'm seeing with rates, and I don't know if you're feeling this too, all of our clients are still getting loans. Even wealthy clients are not paying cash. They may be waiving a mortgage contingency. They may be saying they're cash, but they're borrowing against the portfolio, or they're doing something creative still to lend on it because they're confident that they can make more money in the market. So I've seen fewer and fewer conversations about rates. That seems to almost be, I don't want to say a thing of the past, but stable. It was almost like when construction costs went up and all we were talking about was raw materials and how much wood was, that was all the conversation. Now they're just high, which relatively speaking, and everyone's wrapped their head around it. So I think the timing is perfect for people to who have already wrapped their heads around the rates and where they're at. And again, the confidence that they have in the economy is big. I think that's the biggest piece of it, where people feel like their checkbook's going to be okay. They feel like they're going to do well in whatever business they're doing. We'll see if that's right or wrong, but just that idea has given them confidence to buy. I'm feeling it, and I expect it to continue. So I'm not too worried about rate movement. A lot of people are actually saying, and you might be able to speak to this, that rates will probably go up before they come down. But I don't think people seem to be scared of that right now.
Do you want to speak on that really quick? Well, because that was my next question for you, just predictions for interest rates going into next year and how it will affect.
So interest rates are always going to fluctuate. And again, you cannot control the interest rates. They're going to go up, but what goes up comes down, right? So there are going to be slight adjustments when you lock in a loan, and when you lock in with A&N Mortgage, let's say that you close at a 7% rate. When rates come down to 6.5%, we're going to give you some no closing cost options to refinance. We also, when we lock in your rate, we offer a one-time free float down within 45 days of closing, which is a very aggressive way to handle a float down. The reason we do that is we have our own trading desk. We sell through a hedge, we sell direct to Freddie Mac, so I have a lot of control in the process, but I don't want the customer or borrower to not have the confidence in A&N. So we want them to lock in their rate because you're hedged against increasing market conditions. So I think that's a really important piece, is giving that client the security and confidence that they're using us and they've picked the right lender.
Yeah, and I think our agents that are in the room that work with us and send buyer clients to us definitely take note of that, because I think it's another sell for yourself and for the loan officer that you're referring to as well.
So our team is so diverse. We speak four different languages. My brother has a ton of firefighter, police officers as his clients. One of our Ayumi, I don't know if she made it here today. Ayumi, she loves rentals. I don't know why, but she loves doing them. And a lot of those renters convert into first-time home buyers. Eva works with a ton of developers. So, it's kind of fun to see all these different, and Howard and I, we share our clients, and, I would say, our client base is what we had discussed earlier. So it's fun to see all different types of buyers and sellers in this current market. Obviously, I agree that on the higher end, they're not necessarily so worried about the interest rate. And I would say on the more affordable side, Chicago is the fastest appreciating rental market in the nation right now. So we are seeing a lot of first-time a lot of renters really feeling that and realizing that they should be purchasing. So those times where they were not purchasing it's definitely changing, and I actually think that we're going to see a lot more of that going forward in 2025. The luxury market is still going to stay very, very strong. Because we do city and suburbs, I really want to touch upon that too, is, the west suburbs is smoking hot, the suburbs are hot, we all know that, and, we all experience it here. The fun part of doing Chicago too is, seeing that not all markets are doing that. So the River North and Gold Coast area definitely is on the slower side, but I actually feel like it's a great opportunity for buyers. So I always try to reintroduce that. The single-family home market in Chicago is really, really bumping, man. I mean, I did not know that Logan Square could get that high in price. Yeah, I was shocked. So that has really been fun to experience and to see. So it's, like whatever the price point, I think that it's going to be a great spring market. So get yourselves out there.
That's so encouraging to hear for all of us, I'm sure. So we're down to our last two questions. This one's going to be for Lauren. How do you gain market knowledge outside of years of experience?
Market knowledge to me is far more than just every transaction. I go in houses that aren't, like I'm taking note and engaging no matter what I'm doing because it's all relevant to the next transaction for me. So I try to get in every house that I can get in. I try to talk to every designer that I can talk to about what they're doing and what they're seeing moving forward. I try to talk to wealth advisors and anyone that maybe in an industry that impacts my industry, and let's be honest, they all do. So the more knowledge you can get about all industries, I think the better suited you will be. So with regards to real estate, though, I really, really can't drill down enough as far as really understanding your market. And that doesn't mean like searching the MLS and seeing what closed. Like you should be in all of the houses. You should understand why a buyer backed out of it, or you should understand why one house sold for $200,000 less than a house that seems exactly the same. Like you don't have that without going through it and then without talking to buyers. Like understanding how the market thinks about it is more important than how you think about it too. So again, for a new agent, work 10 hours a day, even though you're not probably going to make money for 6 months. The more you could be in your market, the better suited you will be down the road.
Last question, I guess if you want to add anything to this, but it's for you, Amy. Everybody asked on Eventbrite questions about NAR settlement, buyer's agent compensation. I feel like it's still a very hot topic. So share your experience since the changes related to buyer's agent compensation, and if you think there's going to be any changes in that going into a more competitive spring market.
I actually really like it. I know that this is going to be a different answer for different agents. So, but it really saves me time. I give the client or the consumer the opportunity to meet, and we, sometimes we maybe sign a one-time buyer's agreement to go see a property and discuss further, and then we'll go into a longer term buyer agent relationship. But it really kind of like, gets to the nitty gritty. Like, do you want to work with me or not? So I find value in it actually. So if you think about it that way versus this kind of scary thing that, you have to have people buy. We were already using buyer's agreements anyways. We just weren't necessarily signing them right from the get-go. So, and you're shuttling people around and not knowing if they're going to commit to you. This really kind of takes that away. As a newer agent, I could see that this could be, scary, but I think that if you go in with the right approach, you can find that it's a time saver for you as a buyer's agent.
I totally agree with that, and I do think that the conversation you're having with these buyers is the most important piece of it, because what we typically say is we always want to earn your business. Unfortunately, like, this is one meeting and you have to sign off before I can show you this, but if you're ever not satisfied with our business, you can always get out of it. We would never want to work with someone that wasn't happy with the service we provided, and it helps give people comfort. I haven't seen any issues. Once you actually explain to these people what it is, we have seen no issues at all with anyone signing it or anyone having a hiccup with it. So I think it's just more paperwork.
Yes.
I also wanted you to touch on negotiations and how you think listing agents might approach spring market because it's more competitive. Do you think it will be different than how they're currently willing to pay out buyer's agents, or?
Commission is always negotiable. I said it always has been and it always will be. And I think anyone knows that. So what I'm seeing, and I'm not sure, is it's very gray from the get-go, and we're submitting what they're taking it into consideration just like every other term in the contract is what I'm kind of, generally speaking. Yes, some people are saying, okay, we'll pay out this, they've agreed to pay out that or this, but that changes in a negotiation just like every term. So I think my best piece of advice is to look at it that way as another term of the offer. So if you're in a very competitive situation, look at your commission the same as earnest money or financing or closing date or purchase price. It all plays into it, and it's all a piece of the whole offer.
Can I add on? To the seller, ultimately, it comes down to the bottom line. So, and I do urge the seller to recognize that the buyer agent is bringing the buyer. So, just to keep that in mind. But it comes down to the bottom line, whether the buyer pays for it or the seller pays for it. But it is just a negotiating, and it's part of the transaction. It's part of the negotiation now.
When you go and show a property, do you have to have that signed before you go into the property? So if you're meeting like a Zillow lead, what happens?
Yes, so you have to have something signed before you walk into a property. So if we're getting a cold lead where someone just reaches out and said, I saw your property at 123 Main Street, what do? You have to have the conversation and say, there's been a new regulation put in place as of August 17th. We have to have a signature. They do not have to work with you. They can either agree to work with you and you're the buyer's agent, or they agree to a no agency representation, meaning they would represent themselves. So a signature needs to be had before they walk in the door, but they can agree to representing themselves. So a lot of people, that's a misnomer. A lot of people are saying, oh, well, I thought I just needed to sign if I was working with an agent. No, technically, you need to sign a no agency agreement if you are not working with the listing agent. And we don't know for sure, but we would guess, and I'm sure you would attest to this, there are a lot of testers out there. There's probably been, I don't know, would you say 15 buyers that, if I had to bet, were testers that have reached out to us. So watch yourselves.
Well, thank you guys for sharing so much. I do want to open up the floor if anybody has questions, maybe cap it at like 3 max, but feel free to raise your hand, stand up, and ask the panel.
I have a question. So you've already touched upon events, which I think is great. We do events, but what type of events? I see some of your stuff that you have a lot of pool and.
No, I don't get the pools. No, yeah, we have our agents go sit in those. Okay, the question was, we do a lot of events. What kind of events are you talking about? So we do.
Usually involve a pool.
Yeah, always a pool. No, often a pool. We have houses with pools and we capitalize on pools when we have a house with a pool. But what we really try to do with all of our events, so they vary drastically, but we're always trying to cross collaborate with other agents, with other vendors, with other professionals, I'll just say, and it's always a value add. So we'll have, we just had a fun client appreciation event where it was a picture, like a Christmas card picture, where it was at a listing at one of our houses. We always try to support multiple people at the same time. Why have an event if you can't support multiple people? So it was at one of our listings to support one of our developers with our photographer that we always work with and a food truck that we have a partnership with. So that's an example of one, but often we'll have it in the house with regard, if it's more of a listing event, we would have it at a significant listing, but we would always try to bring in, again, a value add. So at a cool house that had very interesting art, we would bring in an artist and we would bring in a gallery owner, and we would talk about how art impacts your house and what we're seeing, what trends we're seeing in housing decor. We might have the designer who designed the house. It's all kind of connected but separate. So we have designers. We try to support all of our designers, our builders, people that support us. We always try to put them at the front of the line as well, because I think that's the biggest thing. That's another side note. I would say, as a new agent, find ways to provide value or a new anything. before you're asking for business. I think that's one of the biggest things, like give of whatever value or gift you have, and all of a sudden it'll come around.
Are you inviting mostly clients, or are you encouraging people to bring friends to these events?
Most of our events are open to everyone and anyone. We love, because that gives an opportunity for people to get to know us. We do have a couple events where it's exclusively for our clients because of limited seating or depending on the situation. We have a big development in Naples, which is a early launch private. The developer could only have 50 people at each of these events, and it was very curated as far as like only people that were working with us, because that's the only space they fill. But it kind of depends on the event.
Okay, well, thank you guys again so much for being here. We really appreciate you both. Before I let you guys eat and drink and all of the things, I just wanted to mention a couple upcoming events that we do have, since we've been talking about them so much. Next Tuesday, we're doing a pie pickup. There will be a happy hour at our Chicago office. Here, it will just be pies. Maybe we'll have some alcohol for fun. Nancy will be in charge. So stop by next Tuesday, 1 to 5 p.m. at either office. We're going to do photos with Santa early December and another power hour next month. The easiest way to be invited to the future ones is to follow us on Eventbrite or follow somebody on Instagram. So yeah, we encourage that. Please come back. We appreciate you being here, and enjoy the rest of the event. Thank you.
Thank you.